I've worked at Aperto since 2006, but to say how I got here, I have to go back to 1994. And at that time I was working for a small English architects company, and I was a little bit unhappy. The boss I was working for was he was very indecisive, always changing his mind, and it was the days before computers where everything was done with ink. So every time he changed his mind, I would have to scratch it out with a razor blade, and after you've done that a few times, you'll get holes in the paper. And I was a little bit tired of this, so I decided that it's time for a change. I'd been there long enough. So on that same day that I'd been at work and decided it was time to move, I was cycling home. It's a very fast main road that I have to cycle along, and I was going along quite fast. The wind was pushing me along behind on my back, and must have been doing about 40 kilometers an hour. And I came around a roundabout with my head down, cycling as fast as I can, and I went straight into the back of a car that had broke down. I didn't even have time to touch my brakes. I was told afterwards that the bike was totally snapped in half. I ended up going through the back of the back window and landed on the back seat. And I was told this when I woke up in hospital about 3 days later with a broken collarbone, a broken leg, a broken arm, lots of scratches and cuts. I was in hospital probably for about 2 months. But and the other thing, important details, when I woke up, I had a visit card, and this was the guy's car that I had crashed into. And it turns out that he was an architect and had his own private practice in Brighton. And I thought to myself, this must be a sign. This must be a sign. So after I left hospital about 2 months later, I gave him a ring and said that I would be dropping by to try and get the insurance paper sorted out. I didn't tell him that I would ultimately be looking for a job, but I took all my my CV, examples of my work along, and we got to talking afterwards, and he asked me what I did, and I told him, well, it's funny you should say that. And after showing him the examples and where I'd worked before, he offered me a job, and I ended up working there for about 5 years, until the situation in the English economy was a little bit bad. And my boss came to me one day and said that his friend that he studied in university with was a Swedish guy and had a practice in Stockholm, and would I like to go and work in Sweden on a 6-month contract as a chance to a bit of relief from in England and a chance to experience a bit of European life. So I jumped at that chance, thinking it would only be for 6 months, but after the 6 months I worked there a little bit longer, and then I moved around in the next 2 years to a couple of other practices before eventually in 2006 joining Aperto, and I've worked there happily ever since.